In White Owl Barn Owl, you learned that barn owl feathers are soft so that owls can fly quietly. Today's book is called Feathers, Not Just for Flying by Melissa Stewart. Sarah S. Brannen is the illustrator. You will learn about how 16 birds use feathers in special ways. Think about some ways you think birds might use their feathers. This book is nonfiction and tells many interesting facts. You can also learn a lot by paying careful attention to the illustrations. Birds and feathers go together, like trees and leaves, like stars in the sky. All birds have feathers, but no other animals do. Most birds have thousands of feathers, but those feathers aren't all the same. That's because feathers have so many different jobs to do. Feathers can warm like a blanket. On cold, damp days, a blue jay stays warm by fluffing up its feathers and trapping a layer of warm air next to its skin. Think about if you've ever seen a blue jay. This looks like an album or scrapbook. Some things look like they are taped to the page, and the blue jay looks like an attached photograph. Do you think it looks like someone is studying birds? Or cushion like a pillow. A female wood duck lines her nest with feathers she plucks from her own body. These feathers cushion the duck's eggs and keep them warm. Feathers can shade out sun like an umbrella. As a hungry tricolored heron wades through the water in search of food, it raises its wings high over its head. The feathers block out reflections from the sky and shade the water. This makes it easier to spot tasty fish and frogs. How do the feathers help the heron hunt? When the feathers block the sun, the heron can see fish and frogs under the water. Or protect skin like sunscreen. On sunny summer afternoons, red-tailed hawks spend hours soaring through the sky in search of prey. Their thick feathers protect their delicate skin from the sun's harmful rays. Feathers can soak up water like a sponge or clean up messes like a scrub brush. On sizzling summer days, a male sand grouse cools off by soaking his belly feathers in a watering hole. Then the proud papa flies to his nest. While dad guards his chicks, the little ones suck on his feathers to quench their thirst. An American bittern always cleans up after it eats. Its feathers have brittle tips that crumble into a dusty powder. The powder is perfect for scouring away the dirt and slimy fish oil that sticks to its feathers. Feathers can distract attackers like a bullfighter's cape, or hide a bird from predators like camouflage clothing. A dark-eyed junco distracts its enemies by flashing the bright white feathers on the outside of its tail. Then it quickly covers the feathers and darts off in the other direction. A female cardinal's dull, grayish-tan body and feathers blend in with her forest home. They help her hide and protect her nest from enemies while she sits on her eggs. Feathers can make high-pitched sounds like a whistle. When a male club winged mannequin wants to get a female's attention, he leans forward, raises his wings over his back, and rapidly shakes them. As feathers with ridges rub against feathers with stiff, curved tips, a squeaky chirping sound trills through the air. Or attract attention like fancy jewelry. A peacock's bright, beautiful tail feathers make him easy to spot. At mating time, a female is attracted to the male with the biggest, most colorful fan of feathers. Feathers can dig holes like a backhoe or carry building supplies like a forklift. After bank swallows mate, they make a home together. First, the male uses his bill and the tough feathers on his lower legs to dig a 2-foot-long tunnel in a stream bank. He pushes the dirt out with his wings. Then, the female builds a nest of straw, grasses, and leaves at the end of the tunnel. Most birds carry nesting materials in their beaks, but not the female rosy-faced lovebird. When she finds grass, leaves, or strips of bark, she tucks them under her rump feathers and flies back to her nest. Feathers can help birds float like a life jacket. Mute swans glide smoothly across the water's surface. Pockets of air trapped between their feathers help these graceful birds stay afloat. Or plunge downward like a fishing sinker. Most birds make a special oil to waterproof their feathers, but not the anhinga. The weight of its wet feathers helps the hungry hunter dive deep down in search of fish, crayfish, and shrimp. Feathers can glide like a sled or sprint across the snow like snowshoes. Emperor penguins have tightly packed belly feathers that form firm, slick surfaces. The feathers make it easy for these birds to slide across ice and snow. Each autumn, willow ptarmigans grow a thick layer of feathers on top of their toes. Like snowshoes, the feathers increase the size of the bird's feet, so they can shuffle across the snow instead of sinking in. But most of all, feathers can give birds the lift they need to race across the sky. Kinds of feathers. Many scientists study birds, and they are learning new information every day. Right now, not all scientists agree about the best way to classify types of feathers. Here is one system that many scientists use. Tiny filoplume feathers are attached to the nerves. They help a bird sense its surroundings, and they let the bird know that its feathers are in place. Stiff bristle feathers around a bird's eyes act like eyelashes. Some birds use bristle feathers around their mouths to locate food. Soft, fluffy down feathers keep a bird warm by trapping body heat next to its skin. Semi-flume feathers work with down feathers to keep birds warm and dry. Contour feathers cover most of a bird's body. They give a bird its shape and colors. The flight feathers on a bird's wings lift it up and move it forward. Flight feathers on the tail help a bird steer and keep its balance. Author's note. While I was doing research for another book, I stumbled across a fascinating article in the Birder's World, now Birdwatching Magazine. It describes some of the amazing ways birds use their feathers. I knew this would be a great topic for a children's book, so I photocopied the article and pinned it to the idea board in my office. A few months later, I dug into the research, as I do for all my books. I turned to three main sources for information: the library, for books, magazines, and newspapers; the internet, for journal articles and locating experts in the field; and my own nature journals. Some examples in this book are based on my personal observations in the natural world. Others come from interviews with scientists, as well as reports in scholarly books in scientific journals. For me, research is the easy part of a project. The hard part is figuring out the most interesting way to frame the material. I'm always asking myself, is there a way I can make this even more engaging? For this book, I spent 3 years tinkering with the text. I wrote countless drafts and did 4 complete overhauls before finally latching onto the idea of comparing feathers to common objects in our lives. That's when the writing came to life, and I knew the manuscript was ready for my editor. This was feathers, not for flying. Think about something surprising that you learned from the book. What does the author's note tell you about how Melissa Stewart found the information to put in the book? What did she find even harder to do than gathering facts? Think about some of the comparisons Melissa Stewart uses to help readers understand how important feathers are to birds. Do you think this is a good way to help readers? The author decided to organize this book like a scrapbook. It even looks like pictures are taped in. Do you think this was a good choice? Why or why not? Hope you enjoyed our book today.